Before maps, sailors crossed entire oceans using the stars. No GPS, no satellites, no charts, no blue lines showing where to go. Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean nearly 1,000 years ago. There is nothing around you except endless water. No land, no landmarks, no radio, no compass in your pocket. Just the sound of waves crashing against the hull and a sky filled with thousands of stars. Somehow these sailors still found their destination, not by luck, not by accident, but by reading the sky, the sea, the wind, and even the birds above them. So how did humanity navigate an entire planet before maps existed? This is the hidden history of navigation before maps. Maps are something we rarely think about today. Every smartphone contains one. Every airplane, cargo ship, and delivery truck depends on them. But for most of human history, maps were either inaccurate, incomplete, or simply didn't exist. For thousands of years, the world was mostly unknown. People understood their local surroundings. Farmers knew nearby rivers. Hunters memorized forests, merchants recognized familiar roads. But beyond that, everything became uncertain. Early civilizations didn't see the Earth as a complete picture. There was no world map hanging on a wall, no globe, no satellite image. Instead, the world existed as thousands of separate pieces of knowledge passed from one generation to another. Most sailors never expected to cross an entire ocean. They stayed close to land. Coastlines became their highways. As long as they could see the shore, they knew roughly where they were. If something went wrong, they could simply head back toward land. This method became known as coastal navigation. It worked surprisingly well for centuries. But coastlines have limits. Trade expanded. Kingdoms grew richer. Merchants wanted faster routes. Explorers wanted new lands. Eventually, someone had to sail beyond the horizon, and beyond the horizon, everything disappeared. Once land vanished, sailors lost their only reliable reference point. The ocean looked exactly the same in every direction. North looked like south. East looked like west. Every wave resembled the last. One mistake could send a ship hundreds of miles off course. Many never returned. Then something extraordinary happened. People stopped looking at the ocean and started looking at the sky. Long before astronomy became a science, the stars became humanity's first navigation system. Night after night, the same constellations appeared in predictable patterns. One star barely moved at all. The North Star. To ancient sailors, Polaris became one of the greatest discoveries in navigation. Unlike other stars that seemed to travel across the sky, the North Star remained almost perfectly fixed. If you could find it, you could find north. Suddenly, direction became possible even in complete darkness. Entire civilizations began depending on the heavens. Few people mastered this better than the Phoenicians. Living along the eastern Mediterranean more than 3,000 years ago, the Phoenicians became some of history's greatest sailors. Their ships carried glass, timber, purple dye, metals, and luxury goods across thousands of miles. They sailed farther than most civilizations dared, not because they had better ships, but because they understood the stars, generation after generation. Their navigational knowledge was passed like family secrets. Every voyage added another piece to humanity's understanding of the sea. Yet even the stars couldn't solve every problem. Clouds covered the sky, storms erased visibility, fog swallowed entire coastlines. During bad weather, the heavens disappeared. So sailors learned something even more remarkable. The ocean itself could guide them. Experienced navigators studied wave patterns. Large ocean swells often moved in consistent directions for hundreds of miles. Even when the wind changed, the swell remained. By feeling how a ship rose and fell beneath their feet, some sailors could determine direction without seeing anything at all. Imagine that. Standing on a wooden deck, closing your eyes, and knowing where you are simply by feeling the movement beneath you. It sounds impossible, but skilled navigators did exactly that. No civilization perfected this art better than the Polynesians, perhaps the greatest navigators who ever lived. Thousands of years before European explorers entered the Pacific, Polynesian sailors crossed the largest ocean on Earth, without maps, without compasses, without modern instruments. They discovered and settled islands separated by thousands of miles, places like Hawaii, Tahiti, Samoa, and New Zealand. Even today, scientists remain amazed by what they achieved. Their navigation wasn't based on a single technique. It combined dozens of observations: stars, ocean swells, cloud formations, wind direction, bird migrations, even the color of the water. Every detail mattered. To them, the ocean wasn't empty. It was full of information. Here's what most people don't realize. Birds became living maps. Certain birds fly only limited distances from land. Others leave islands every morning before returning at sunset. If sailors observed the direction of these birds, they could estimate where land was located. Floating branches suggested nearby forests. Freshwater plants hinted at rivers. Even drifting seaweed could reveal hidden coastlines beyond the horizon. Nature constantly left clues. The challenge was learning how to read them. As civilizations grew, so did their understanding of geography. Merchants began recording successful routes. Captains memorized distances. Pilots shared dangerous reefs and hidden harbors. Little by little, knowledge accumulated. But these weren't maps, not yet. They were memories, stories, instructions. Entire voyages were stored inside people's minds. If an experienced navigator died, his knowledge often died with him. That made navigation incredibly fragile. Civilizations desperately needed a way to preserve geographical information. The earliest maps looked nothing like the ones we know today. Many weren't even intended for navigation. Ancient Babylonians carved simple maps onto clay tablets. Egyptians drew river systems. Greeks began measuring distances. Romans mapped roads instead of oceans. Most early maps focused on places people already understood. The unknown remained blank, sometimes filled with myths, sometimes with monsters, sometimes with nothing at all, because people didn't know what existed there. During the Middle Ages, maritime trade exploded. Ships connected Europe, Africa, and Asia. The demand for better navigation increased dramatically. Then appeared something called the Portolan chart. Unlike earlier maps, Portolan charts were created by sailors. Every harbor, every coastline, every dangerous reef, every compass direction, painstakingly recorded. For the first time, maps became practical navigation tools. Captains no longer depended entirely on memory. Knowledge could now survive generations. Then came the age of exploration. This changed everything. Portuguese navigators searched for routes around Africa. Spanish expeditions crossed the Atlantic. English, Dutch, and French ships expanded across the globe. Every successful voyage improved the maps. Every failed voyage taught another lesson. The map became humanity's collective memory. Instead of one sailor remembering one route, entire civilizations could learn together. Knowledge accelerated, exploration accelerated, history accelerated. Here's something fascinating. Maps didn't just help sailors, they changed politics. Empires expanded because they understood geography. Trade routes became military advantages. Colonies were established, borders were drawn, wars were planned. Control of information became nearly as valuable as gold itself. Some governments treated maps as military secrets. Publishing accurate maps could even become a crime, because whoever understood the world could often control it. Even today, maps continue changing. Paper maps became digital maps. Digital maps became satellite navigation. Artificial intelligence now predicts traffic, weather, and shipping routes before problems even happen. Yet every modern navigation system still depends on the same goal humanity pursued thousands of years ago. Answering one simple question: where am I? The remarkable thing isn't that we invented maps. It's that civilization managed to function for thousands of years before they existed. People crossed deserts, climbed mountains, sailed oceans, discovered continents, built trade networks, and connected the world using nothing more than observation, memory, experience, and extraordinary courage. Because every voyage into the unknown required something maps could never provide: faith. Faith that the stars would appear. Faith that the waves remained consistent. Faith that birds would lead them home. Faith that someone had sailed this way before.